You guys were almost subjected to your first DBT session ever, unless you've already been to DBT. My refrigerator kind of makes less noise at the moment. It would have been at least 2 minutes of focusing on the sound of the beautiful refrigerator and appreciating it a lot. We won't do that. Could have been nice. Actually, we kind of hear it, so hope you like it. So, I have 2 videos I want to make tonight, and they're both kind of similar in concept of mental illness, but they're going to be differently applied. The first one I want to apply, explain why the second one applies to why I can make the second one, I suppose. So, okay, I have a new kind of presentation of, actually you probably saw it already. I didn't want to make a video in that state this time because it was not exactly as weird as the last one. It was more so weird. So the video I made 2 months ago, I think it was called Meaning of Life. Is it Meaning of Life? Something about that. Something like that. Or not OCD. Something. Yeah. So that one was a bit fast and not entirely understandable. That I didn't know. I knew it was an OCD and I was quite right. It wasn't. But what I thought it couldn't be is probably what it was. So I won't say exactly what the precise diagnosis is yet because it is not confirmed. There needs to be further evaluation to my past to fully understand the present and also fully evaluate the present further in order to properly diagnose. So I'm not going to say like exactly what this symptom would imply because I can't conclusively say. But I experienced this this week a state of hypomania, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty much what it would be. Alright, so something of a mixed state, potentially. It's not confirmed. I have to go further. But it was basically what the important part is not what it was labeled as, but because we don't, it's theoretical at this point. I mean, it's pretty probable, but whatever. So, we'll go with what happened because that's more applicable because that's what I know. I just can't know more than what happened at this point. So, God bless Canada and our right to cannabis because CBD is really nice to calm sped up moments. I was not calm today and I finally am. I had to really find out how much THC was in my CBD to make sure there was very little because it wouldn't been good. So I was sure it was CBD, but mostly CBD, but I need to be really sure there was very little THC and like really. So I found out, so I took it and I'm good. So the story goes, Friday, which was, okay, so we're today the end of November, we're the November 31st. No, we're November 30th. So Friday, 6 days ago, I was on a bus trip to the States all day. And the beginning of the day, even about 2 hours after the border crossing, I was deathly tired because insomnia so bad. Can't even express, oh my god. Insomnia so bad. And I could barely open my eyes, oh my god. And the day was going to be long, and I didn't know exactly how weird it was going to get. I was in a state of kind of a distressed kind of post-traumatic stress loop thought, where I was going around thinking the same thing again and again in very similar ways, and I tried to stop thinking it. I tried. I I tried really. I didn't know what to do to make it stop. I couldn't change the topic and my thought. So eventually, I mean, I didn't entirely realize the moment it happened because I didn't think too weirdly about it at first. I stopped being distressed, and instead of being distressed about the post-traumatic thoughts, I instead became very, very happy about them. And at first, I didn't think too weirdly about it because it wouldn't have. I didn't know to think too weirdly about it. But the longer the day went, the more illogical, or I mean, intense. The stronger the higher the kind of really bizarre happiness about distress. Not exactly about this. It wasn't specifically distress that made me happy. I'm gonna try to explain that better. So it was happy and joyful and smiling absurdly. Kind of euphorically happy about not exactly precisely distressed, but that I was experiencing it because I deserved it. Because so I'm not gonna please so in response to this, if you really feel you have to say something that says that I have worth, I mean, you don't feel like you have to, but if you really feel like you really do, I'm not gonna reply because anything that I could say would only be telling you that it's not true and why it couldn't possibly be true that I have any worth at all. I have no value, and so I would tell you in response that, but I have enough control in having like a step between like writing the comment and pushing go. So if you say that, it's appreciate it, but I'll just click like a heart and say that I read it and that I appreciate it. So I'm not gonna be really weird and say all the reasons why it's statistically impossible for me to have any human value. So the reason that I was happy about distress is because I have no value. I have no worth. I am the only human being on the entire planet that is worthless to the degree of being absolutely devoid of anything good. I'm the most pathetic human being on the planet that ever. Please, okay. So I'm saying this according. I want to say like, okay. So I'm gonna say because I've been DBT. I'm learning to not judge, and I still judge. But I'm just gonna recognize that this was a judgment and say, like, okay. So we'll apply it like. I'm saying a perspective that I had. So I'm gonna try to distance myself from saying directly, this is what I think, or this is what is. I'm just gonna say this is the perspective I had. Please, if I can apply it that way. So I felt. Okay, let's talk like DBT. I felt like I was useless. I felt like I was devoid of me. I felt like the most pathetic human being on the planet. That nobody else could be pathetic like me. Nobody else on the planet could be because they all had value and they were incapable of being devoid of value. And I was in some way, if I could apply the most brutal weirdness to a grandiose delusion, where usually people say they're more meaningful and better than anyone else and have special abilities or God or whatever. My grandiose delusion was that I didn't have value to the point of being the only one who didn't. And I called it self-esteem. I called it self-esteem that I had no value. That it gets worse. So that sounds bad, but it gets a lot worse. And I'm gonna try to just highlight that and not go too deeply into it. So what was worse was trigger warning. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. That's just saying because I need to be sensitive. I know some people say don't ever do that because you can't know which people's triggers, but honestly, okay. So my sort of hypomanic state of also I decided, or I felt, not exactly decided, I felt almost sure that if I had to die in the most brutal, horrific, painful, disgusting way that was long and excruciating and try to die of multiple things at the exact same time, so that they could all be really painful and awful. Because that's what I deserved for being a horrible human being, for being responsible for, well, pretty much things that were sourced from post-traumatic stress, devaluing myself and taking responsibility and culpability for, I'm going to say it without, okay, I'm really brave and say this. I'm going to say something, okay, so I take responsibility for something that wasn't my fault. Wow, I said it. So it was my fault. That was weird to say. For some reason, it has to be my fault, because if it wasn't my fault, then something bad happened. And better believe that I'm just dirty in the head. So, okay, so moving on. My thought was that I was so deserving of dying, and not only that, but that I was so worthless and a horrible influence on the, not influence, but my existence was damaging to the world. And if I took my life, it would be a huge relief to the entire planet if they could just be released of having to endure my existence. So that, okay, I'm saying that like it's, okay, I'm still kind of, I felt like, to say it that way, I felt like it was, it's hard to say, I felt like that was it. So I'm gonna say it like it was what I felt, not that it's fact, because whatever. That's what I thought. And so I was in a very dangerous state. And I had to, it lasted several days, and I realized something was potentially very wrong. So I sought help, and I was able to realize while it was happening that it wasn't normal. I realized that nobody would actually get happy about the horrible things that I was happy about. Nobody liked being worthless. I didn't like it. I never liked feeling worthless. I really, it was hard, but really hard. So I finally liked it like a lot. I call it embracing it, and call it self-esteem. That's a really neat way to apply self-esteem. So I got help, and I almost just left because I didn't want to bother them with me. So, but they wouldn't let me leave anyway. I said I'll stay because I thought if I say I'll stay, it would mean that they wouldn't put a legal hold on my stay. But they did anyways. They wouldn't. I was not only legally not allowed to leave, I didn't have privileges that would indicate a possibility of my escaping. And so after that, so I was there, sort of. I mean, 2 nighs. Then I saw the. I mean, this is really. Maybe this isn't even an applicable part of the story, but I'm kind of. I should be pissed about being devalued. I should apply not liking being devalued because it. Okay, so what happened was, the psychiatrist that's in charge of the ER kind of didn't see a reason for me being there. He said, because, well, he doesn't mind letting me go when I'm detrimentally in danger of really dangerously self-harming to the point of possibly dying. So he lets me go anyways. And so I should have expected that anyways at this point. So he didn't see why I was there. He didn't mind that I wanted to be the best at starving myself, because if I starved myself to death, if I died of starving, it would mean that I did it really well. So he said he couldn't explain why the hold was put on me to stay there. And he said, literally, you have the right to die of starvation if that's what you want. And then he just didn't see why I was there. So I was sent home in a taxi, and that's brilliant. I mean, at least the mania was, or Hypomania, whatever it was, Hypomania-like, or whatever it was. I was at home, and at least I was less euphoric, and more capable of being, like, stopping the happiness when it came. This video's long, I'm sorry. Maybe some of you missed long videos, maybe it's fine. I mean, I guess that's the story. I can't confirm more than that necessarily. So I'm just gonna leave it there. If I don't have a euphoric smile about all this, it's pretty potentially good. Because I get happy when I talk about difficult things. So I'm gonna make the next video. And if you're interested and if you have, if you experience mania or any level of before or after mania, then maybe it would interest you. So see you in the next video.